Hi guys, this is Jeff from Grit Factor Fitness. This is part one of a video series that I'm going to conduct on a very famous movement that everybody's heard of called the squat. As a personal trainer, I still see many people perform it quite poorly, sometimes out of lack of knowledge, sometimes out of mobility issues and so on. So during these videos I'll be exploring some troubleshooting and some basic movement patterns and how to get your squat to where it should be. Part one, we're just simply going to be starting to look on how to fall into a squat, basic stance around the feet and so on. That will vary slightly from individual to individual, but yeah, I hope you start to get something out of this. Continue to follow for the progressions and so on. Okay. Thanks. Okay, the first thing to look at is foot positioning. A lot of people will either go too narrow or too wide. Wide is actually called a sumo squat. What you'll find is the wider you go, the less depth you'll be able to get onto the squat. So probably start off, with a simple version, which is where your shoulders are. You want to take your feet just slightly out from the shoulders with your toes pointed slightly outward. The reason behind that, with the toes out, is at the bottom of the squat, you are looking for the knee and the toe to be in a nice line, or what they say, tracking, just to keep your joints healthy. Okay. The opposite of that would be, for example, toes rotated too far out with the knees buckling in and so on, or reverse. Just look for that nice straight line. Okay. Going into it, once you've determined your stance, the first mistake that I see people making is that they will start the movement by pushing the knees forward or breaking at the knees. If you begin the movement there, it's going to change everything about your center of balance and how you end up at the bottom of the squat. So a bad example would be knees forward, then going into the squat. What you find is a lot of people will lead excessively onto the toes, and if you have a look at my shoulders as well, they're forward, my point of balance just isn't there. Okay, so we're going to go feet slightly wide, toes out. From that position, the first thing that you want to do, if you're able to tilt the hip back and forward, that's essentially the first thing that you want to see if you can do. Okay, so from there it's just simply tilting the hip back, and this will become one smooth movement once you become used to it. Tilt the hip back. From that position there, you're essentially just dropping the hip, but the most important thing is opening the groin. So talking about mistake number two, leaving the knees in front of you. I may have determined that I'm going to push the hip back, but if I leave those knees in front of me, what I'm doing is elongating my body. So although my sense of balance is starting to get better, my body's now too long, and if I go down any lower, I start falling back onto the floor. So what we want to do, or what I tell my clients, is as you tuck yourself into the squat, push the knees slightly out. So essentially you're opening the groin and allowing a place for that hip to fall into. Okay, so if we start to look at it side on, it's just simply this. Tilt the hip back, fall down, open the groin. Okay, from this position here, you can see that my shoulders are now pretty much in line with the midfoot to heel. My weight placement is on the heels. Got a nice open groin for me to sit into. If you want to experiment with the elbows as well, are you able to comfortably fall in so the elbows are on the inside of the knees rather than out? That's troubleshooting number one. So just remember, just breaking it down again. Feet slightly wide, toes out, tilt back, drop the hip, open the groin, sit into it. Okay. Now some of you may be able to just do this straight away. Some of you may have issues with tightness around certain muscles and so on. We'll be looking at that at different parts of the video coming up. Thank you. I hope you got something out of this. Cheers.